Hello and welcome to all for one more edition of Oral History of IIT Madras. We have with us a very distinguished visitor and alumnus of IIT Madras, Ranganatha Raju, also known as Gaudi Raju, with us today. It will be my pleasure to have a dialogue with him and take you through the oral history during the time period of late 70s and up to mid 80s in IIT Madras. So, welcome to you, Raju. Nice to see
Thanks.
you back in the campus. I'm sure campus must be looking very beautiful and green after the
Abs-
rains.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah?
Subra. Thanks for inviting me for this. It's great to be here. It's so green and so pleasant here, and
Right,
really feels really good.
right. And Raju, you had spent quite a large number of years inside the campus, right? You started your life inside the campus as a student in KVIIT and then graduated into BTech into IIT.
Yeah.
I think why not we start from where it all began?
Yeah. My dad, they moved from Benares Hindu University to IIT Madras
Right,
in 1969. So that was around when we were in third grade.
right,
So actually, Satya,
yeah,
Satya was now the IIT Tirupati director.
right,
He was my classmate,
right,
and so right from third onwards till 12th, studied here, and even the IIT itself, as all the hostels and the students there were already part of my growing up,
right,
and so it was a wonderful experience. And yeah, finally the big day came. You write JEE, and you're wondering whether you will ever make it. And when they announced the rank, then it was a wonderful, so
right.
great feeling to get into IT. So,
Fabulous. It is more like a natural progression. For a son of a faculty here, you need to necessarily get into JE.
necessarily is too strong a
Yeah.
word, but it was hoped,
Uh-huh.
and many of us did, and some didn't. But they also went to other good colleges or medical colleges or other colleges in the country. So
Right.
yeah. So
So, being a son of a faculty, did it give any privileges inside the campus to you?
I would say the biggest privilege was that parents were nearby.
Yeah.
So even though I was staying in the hostel, I could go home for food or get the laundry done
Right.
or whatever. So I had the best of both worlds. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
So, I want to elaborate a little about the first year into IIT, getting into the first year hostel and
yeah.
catching up with new friends and a little bit of ragging. Did you go
Actually,
through the.
ragging was, I don't know. I mean, I think other IITs apparently had much more. There was a little bit, but I think the first 2 years were determined by whether you were in Mandak or Alak.
Right,
So that first year I was in Mandak. That helped form many friendships with other branches.
right,
So many people, in mech or in metallurgy or in LC. So you got to know them as friends, and then you moved to your branch hostel. So
right.
civil was in Narmada,
Uh,
and so that first year where we stayed mixed branches in one hostel
right.
was actually quite special,
And
and I
also, we had some
enjoyed.
MTechs to share our space in the hostels
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Mandak,
right.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Right,
then
right,
you also got a little bit of a contact with them.
right.
So yeah,
So many of us who came from outside,
yeah,
it was totally overawing experience inside the campus.
yeah,
Because we never felt a campus of this
yeah,
nature in school
yeah,
times.
yeah,
I think probably must have been more like a natural progression for you from school to
yeah.
BTech over here, right?
Yeah, actually, that's true because this was so familiar, and I spent a lot of time in the swimming pool,
Right.
and so the IIT swim team had already been swimming with them for many years.
Okay.
Practicing with them, so I knew many of them.
Right.
Yeah, so it felt very natural to get
Fantastic,
into.
fantastic. How about an experience on academic side? How was the experience from first year to getting into the branch and moving along with your civil guys into Narmada? What are the
So,
transition like?
so the academic side, I guess the first 2 years is also workshop was, of course, at that time a big experience. Filing and lathe and smithy and carpentry and electrical. So that was a good learning experience.
Right.
But I guess the first year, my memory is for mathematics. We were part of the diners club,
Right.
and the diners club were all the people who had got a D in mathematics. So I was one of them. Yeah, so I think the basic sciences, mathematics was a good thing. And then only in the third year onwards, we really got into the branch subjects, civil engineering subjects.
Right.
strength of materials and all those things. So it was a good, comfortable 5 years. I guess now it's 4.
Right.
But we were the last 5-year batch.
Probably a privileged batch of people who could spend more time in
Exactly,
undergrad time here,
5
right?
full years in IIT. So that was really good.
Right. So despite being living in the campus with your parents, how much time you could spend in the hostels and catch up with the friends and
Yeah, so basically every evening was in the hostel. So that was the fun times.
right.
So after dinner, you're in the hostel. You hang out with the people. When it is period time, then you study a little bit. But otherwise, the hostel experience itself was probably the highlight. And the other highlight was, of course, studies was good. You had excellent professors, excellent systematic classes. That was the time, I think, when Professor Indiresan was,
Right.
the first director. And one memory I have of Professor Indiresan was, when we had a hostel day.
Right.
So generally, you would invite people for a hostel day, say 7 p.m.
Right.
But 7 p.m. is when you are generally just setting up the chairs and the stage, and the hostel day really starts at 8 o'clock.
Right.
So, but Professor Indiresan was there at 7 sharp, because that's when you invited him. And we were all not ready. But yeah, that was a new era. What Professor Indiresan brought, relative grading, and a different way of looking at education and academics, and it was quite special. But lot of my memories from IIT were actually everything else, other than academics. We had such a fantastic sports program.
Right.
The arts, and at that time it was called Mardi Gras, of course, and now it's and that whole piece gave us such a growth opportunity.
Absolutely. I think before we come to that aspect, we had some very interesting experiences during our 5 years. The typical water shortage in Chennai and the experiences we went through in the hostels. And I remember in Mandakini, we wanted to conduct a strike and go to director's place for lack of water, carrying a bucket, and we thought we'll go through a strike. Do you remember those incidents?
Yeah. That time, those were periods where water shortage was quite a big thing, and then you're hoping that you can get a shower,
right?
And collecting and.
I still remember when many of our batchmates in first year say that we'll protest not going to the classes because water is not available. And on hearing this, Professor Indiresan walked inside. The sheer sight of him made us to run for our life.
Yeah, he had sometimes a very stern look.
Very stern look, and he had that stature for us to be face about.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, getting back to the other perspective of your growing stage in IIT, sports seems to have played a very important role in your career here, right?
Yeah.
Can you touch upon that elements of sports? You were in swimming and you were in basketball and you were all over, right?
No, I wouldn't say all over, but I did swim a lot in school,
right.
And so then it was natural that you try to get into the IIT swim team. So you get into the swim team, you practice. Water polo was a big, very popular sport.
Right.
So we used to play a lot of. First, I think the fun part was inter-hostel was a big thing.
Right.
And then, of course, inter-IIT was the highlight. So every December, you would have a coaching camp.
Right.
You would have very good food, a lot of training, and then the journey to, IIT, Kharagpur.
Traveling
Delhi,
by train those days.
By train.
Right.
So the guys get off in some station, they're stretching in the station.
Missing the train crowd.
So inter-IIT was a big thing. Then I got interested in basketball.
Right.
So that immediately you get an opportunity to play basketball. Then on the one side of the basketball court, I think it's still the same. There was the volleyball court, so you watched the volleyball team practicing.
Right.
And on the other side was the tennis court, so you watched the tennis team practicing.
Right.
So it was quite amazing. Every day, evening after classes, you go there around 5 o'clock.
Right.
You play till around 7 when it gets dark.
Right.
Then you go have shower, dinner, and then maybe a little bit of studying.
You participated in all the inter-IIT swimming competitions, right? All the 5 years?
Yeah. All fortunate to practice in all the 5.
And what about the basketball? How many years you represent the?
I think basketball also maybe the final 4, maybe not in the first year, but the last 4.
Any good memories of winning medals and awards in your time?
Yeah, I don't have swimming. Got a few medals. Basketball, I don't exactly remember, but we had some really good players in our batch. Murli was one of them. Ashok, Raja. So we had it was just the journey, the experience of taking part in the intra-IDs was
Right.
fantastic.
I think the Streuter Cup used to be a great.
That was actually the other. Streuter was, of course, for the inter-hostel.
Right.
But I would say the absolute highlight was the Gerhard Fischer tournament.
Yes.
And it was like just the venue in OAT.
Yeah.
You know, making that was like amazing.
Right.
Floodlit. You know, huge crowds. Not only the students, but also the lot of the faculty. Many of the faculty and the children used to come and watch.
Right.
And we had colleges from, I remember Bangalore, Coimbatore, PSG Tech.
Right.
I think it was RVS from Bangalore.
Right.
It was amazing.
It's more like a basketball carnival, right?
That was like
days.
A basketball
wow.
carnival. Huh? Yeah. And I think that was around the time when we started to go for sponsorships and collect money from various companies and so on.
Right.
So that itself was a good experience, learning experience for us. Learning about campaigning for funds and and the atmosphere in the OAT for Gerhard Fischer was electric.
Amazing. I still remember those matches. We also used to have some professional matches being played with local league teams.
Yeah. We used to invite some of those teams to come and play, and it was. So yeah, those are I would say the best memories.
Right. I could remember about a few India players also participating in those exhibition games.
Games, yeah.
You could see the class they used to display in playing basketball those days. Really.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Quite amazing, really. So, what's been a journey subsequently after IIT? How the life evolved?
After IIT, it was a very interesting journey for me. Of course, I belong to that group of people who tried to go to the US for a master's. So our batch was the '84 graduating batch,
right.
And so I went to Rice. And, I did a master's there, and then I did a PhD. Many people think, wow, PhD, but a lot of people who couldn't get a job did a PhD. So I went to Duke for a PhD,
right.
Which was an interesting experience. But then actually life took an interesting turn at that stage because my father, Professor V.S. Raju, was a big champion of German education. And we were all thinking of the American dream and so on, but he thought the German education was good. So actually I ended up going to Germany for a year, then it ended up being 5 years.
Right.
And strangely enough, I ended up doing a second PhD in Germany.
Great appetite for academic PhDs. 2 PhDs, man.
I would call it a great appetite for torture. So it was interesting. And so then that was in 1994.
Right.
94. And then I joined a German construction company then.
Right.
And then so I've been with them now. So I started off as a design engineer in '94.
Right.
So now it's almost more than 25 years.
Wow.
I've been working for the same company.
Right. Right. Pretty solid loyalty towards the employer, really.
It was a good company. I enjoyed the work.
Right.
They treated me well, and I worked in many countries, Malaysia and Singapore, and now I'm based in London. Yeah.
Right. So good to see that good amount of relationship from your family to IIT, right? Apart from your father being a teacher here and you studying here, and there are also more family connections into IIT, right?
Yeah, actually, my sister, who's about 5 years my junior, she was also keen on studying engineering, and so she also got an IIT.
Right.
And she also studied civil engineering.
Great.
Structural engineer.
Civil and structures run in the blood, right?
Yeah, so she did structural engineering.
Right.
And her husband Sitaram is actually computer science IIT Madras.
Right.
So then, later on, my other sister did a master's at IIT.
Wow.
So we are all very much, IIT is very much
IIT family. Right.
IIT family, yeah.
Right. So the other aspect of Raju per se is that as far as our batch is concerned, you are more like a glue to the entire 84 batch by your ability to keep networking with fellow batchmates of 84, and then your interesting travelogues, the amount of interest you take in posting pictures and write commentaries, and all of us thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
And can you share some experiences about that aspect of Raju to the people around here?
So actually, the Yahoo groups, I think this was around, I don't know, 2005 or 2000. I don't remember. At that time, Yahoo groups was a big thing.
Right.
So then, together with some of our classmates, we formed Yahoo groups and tried to collect everybody into the group.
Right.
Then since I travel a lot, I used to write some travelogues and share with the group. And that in addition to when I traveled, when you meet your classmates, you take some pictures. And
Right.
now, of course, it's all moved to WhatsApp.
Correct.
And so we have, together with some of our batchmates, T.S. Ramakrishna,
Right.
we have more than 140 members in the group.
Right.
Very active group. And, share. A lot of it nowadays, a lot of sharing is around our children.
Absolutely.
And, their marriage, wedding pictures
Right.
or and things like
So
that.
it shows
it's
that our generation is slowly growing and maturing.
I guess so. But we are still very active. And I guess the group also, because it reminds us of our youth, of our days in college.
Right.
So we feel very young, and it's nice.
Wonderful. So the other aspect is that you have been coming back to the campus to some reason or other.
Yeah.
I think professionally also your organization works closely with
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
civil research people there.
Yeah.
But that apart, you have been coming back to reunions, right? We've
Yeah,
been having a periodic reunions.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you must be having some interesting memories to talk about. We had what, 25th year reunion? Prior to that, we had a 20th reunion. Satya organized
Yeah,
over here.
2009 we had a reunion.
Yeah, prior to that, Satya did some mini reunion in 2004 or so. And I think 9 and 14 and 20.
Yeah.
So some reminiscence about these reunions.
Yeah, I think reunions are huge. I mean, just it's an opportunity for all us to get together and get together in IIT. I mean, it's wonderful. Just taking a picture in front of Gajendra Circle,
Right.
or going to our old hostel rooms,
Right.
Narmada 120 or whatever. Just taking a picture in front of the hostel signboard. It's such a simple act, but somehow it means a lot.
True.
And it feels really good. And then after spending a day or two on campus, we generally go to somewhere nice, somewhere a resort in Mahabalipuram or Pondicherry or things like that. So we've been doing this now, as you know, every 5 years.
Right.
But every year, whenever we meet, we also do small ones, in maybe a Hyderabad reunion or a Chennai reunion. In fact, we have one little one this evening.
Wonderful.
And what's special, I think you can say, is we are doing it at the Alumni Center.
Right.
Newly
Center,
Alumni Center. So it's at, in a few hours' time.
Right.
And, so Ramesh said, no, let's not do it in the hotel. Let's do it at our
He's very
Alumni
closely
Center.
associated with IIT, so it has to be
Orombo.
very close to IIT, yes.
Yeah, he's another.
Right.
A great cricketer and
Absolutely.
a great fan of
I think
the
our
IIT.
batch had a good amount of sports persons, right?
Yeah.
Good athletes.
Very good. Yeah.
Malcolm is there.
Malcolm and
Ali Akbar used to
Ali Akbar was a great sprinter.
Right.
Ali Akbar, Sohangpur
I
wala.
know. And a few guys in cricket team like Ramesh.
Cricket team, Ramesh and
Kripa. And,
Kripa was another one. And
fairly good contribution
very
towards
good.
it. And we also had a few in our batch who used to have good talent towards singing and instruments and connects as well.
Yeah, connects. That's actually what I find also very interesting is people like me have stuck to engineering, core engineering, but some people have gone into other areas, areas MBA or finance and so on. But connects, which I'm particularly proud about, is, that one of our batchmates has done so well in music. Another one is Mazhar. He has done in filmmaking in Bombay. So it shows, that IIT still encourages other talents to flourish.
Great diversity of talent in the batch. Really.
Yeah. That's really good. Really
So
good.
after discussing all these things, one key aspect is OIT movies, right? I think no discussion can be complete.
Are they still having the same format?
Oh, I think.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
They do have a Saturday evening movies.
Yeah.
So you are permitted to watch the movies along with the classmates here? They're here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I guess. Yeah, that was somehow a kind of a wind down to the week.
Right.
So if you had a hectic week, Monday to Friday, I don't know, whatever, classes and periods and all that. Saturday is evening after dinner, just stroll up.
Right.
Just lie down on the broad steps. maybe bring a pillow.
I know.
And it was fantastic.
I think for recollect, we had only single projector, right? movie used to
Oh, yeah,
start
so you
every
had to-
10 minutes, there'll be a break of 5-10 minutes.
You have to
And
change
in
the
between
film.
Ads. My cycle is for sale. Please contact me so and so Narmada 141.
Those were slides, Those were slides.
Pretty
Yeah,
interesting. I
yeah,
think
that was.
OIT has graduated towards a proper projector.
Now they are probably. Yeah,
Movie runs full length
we
now.
were there already more than almost 35 years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
so
true.
then, so,
Right.
yeah,
And let's deviate slightly towards the cultural events.
yeah,
We had Mardi Gras, and,
yeah,
inter-hostel
yeah.
culturals. So what was your experience? You had a chance to participate in any of them?
I was actually mostly into sports,
Right.
so I think the cultural events was more as a spectator, and so just really relish all the drama, the quiz, and all the music programs, bands playing,
Right.
and but then also we had professionals coming.
Yeah.
I think I remember once it was a very very funny event. I think we had one day we had Usha Utub,
Yes.
and she had the whole place on fire.
Right.
And everybody was so wild and loud, and then the next day we had SPB.
Right.
But SPB, some of the songs were a little bit more mellow or more
Right.
serious,
Right.
and the guys were still had a Usha Utub hangover. So they were shouting and making a lot of noise for every song.
Right.
And actually, SPB did comment that looks like you're having a hangover from Usha Utub's concert. So that must have been, I don't know, 92, 93 or something like that.
So
But
we also had an excellent rock music band.
yeah.
Guys from Jamuna and LS Ganesh was a great.
LS Ganesh was a great,
We had a good team.
very good
And
team.
I remember they used to come last in this competitions of Western music. They say we are non-competitive team. We'll not
Okay,
participate.
yeah, it was good. Yeah, LS Ganesh managed that. Yeah, so there was. I think that it was kind of a very wholesome experience.
Right.
The campus, the education, the sports, the music. I think it was quite exceptional.
It gives you a complete rounded exposure to life, really.
Yeah,
And just about preps yourself to take up a professional career subsequently in life.
Yeah, it was very well prepared. Academically, when you went to the US, those programs did not feel. I mean, I'm sure they were tough programs, but it was something we could deal with.
Well prepared.
Well prepared, yeah. Well prepared for that, yeah.
So you've been coming back to the campus. I think your father was here till about 90s, no? Mid-90s?
Yeah, he moved to IIT Delhi, I think 95 or so. Then 2000, he finished in IIT Delhi. Then he came here for a few more years. So yeah, it was, even my son Vikram, whenever he came here, he used to come, go to the fields and play. And, he was a little boy. And then, so it was, the campus itself provides a safe environment.
Absolutely.
Like, for example, traffic or noise and pollution, you're protected from that. Lots of lovely, fields, and so I was just filming a monkey rather close, and the guard came and said, "Be careful, they can get aggressive." So and the deer, it's a paradise.
Great. You've been coming back to the campus periodically over past 3 decades. What are the changes, perceptible changes you've been noticing here?
Yeah, before I go to that, maybe I should mention that when we were starting to open an office in India for our company Keller, so I needed an India manager. So actually, I went to the geotechnical engineering professor, Professor Gandhi, and I said, "Can you suggest somebody, maybe a good student?" So then he suggested one who turned out to be really good. Then I needed one more for the Bombay office.
Great.
Then he suggested another. So now Hari Krishna, who's an MTech from IIT Madras, runs Keller India.
Wow.
So which is I don't know, 300-400 crore business.
Great.
And he runs Keller India. We have more than 500 employees.
Right.
And we work all over the country.
Fantastic.
And the other manager was once again another MTech from IIT Madras, Deepak Raj. So Deepak now runs Keller in we call ASEAN, which is Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam.
Right.
So all these are people who just graduated from MTech, so then they were fresh, and they have done very well, and they are very successful managers in the Keller Group now.
So entire India management team is from IIT Madras, right?
I wouldn't say that. We also have from all other colleges also, but we also have some from IIT Bombay,
Right.
and we had some from IIT Delhi too,
Right.
and also many other colleges. It's a good blend,
Right.
and so very proud of that. Yeah.
Great, wonderful. So coming back to my earlier question, you've been coming back to the campus periodically.
Yeah.
What are the changes you're seeing, improvements you're seeing, which are very perceptible and
I would say the change, one thing which has not changed is the greenery.
right.
And as I drove in, and I said, wow, it's just as green as before, maybe even more so,
Yeah.
because I think the greenery is protected,
Yeah.
and which I think is fantastic.
True.
I see taller buildings,
Yeah.
accommodation for faculty and hostels are much bigger, much taller. The facilities, the sports facilities, I think are better now.
Right.
The track and so on, I believe these are funded by alumni from before. So everything feels much higher quality now.
Great.
Not that it was bad before,
Right.
but everything looks perfectly kept. The buildings and the hostels, and I think it's
Really growing up.
it's
keeping
growing.
it times, right?
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah. The infrastructure is. I mean, I haven't seen all the details, but it looks very, very good. So yeah.
Great to see you back here at the campus. Would like to take a walk around the
Absolutely.
stadium over here.
Yeah.
See plenty of birds and there around, and one more opportunity for take a video
Of the
monkey
picture. Let's do that.
right?
Yeah, shall we? Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
So many new construction coming inside, no?
Yeah.
Becoming more like a concrete jungle. They have managed to restrict it to 30% of the overall space.
30%. Yeah.
More like a inbuilt restraint, not to go beyond that.
Yeah, I guess the surroundings are still green.
Absolutely.
There is no reason not to go high up. So it's a beautiful background there with the research park at the back.
Lovely background
And the DS.
That's an old building.
Yeah.
This is the first research park.
The one
tower.
is the front.
Yeah.
And the one at the back is the new one.
There are 3 segments to the ones the back end.
Okay.
And combined together, we have close to about 1.2 million square feet space.
Okay. So that's where we are going to have dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's a brilliant place, fabulous place.
Yeah.
And I think hats off to the people who have conceived this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You can't imagine an academician conceiving, investing so much of money by borrowing from banks and then completing the construction, hoping to repay over a period of time through the lease income. No?
Yeah,
It's a big
fantastic.
deal.
Fantastic success.
Amazing.
Very closely with the professors here on campus, starting with Professor S.R. Gandhi, who's now at another university.
Right.
Professor Natraj, Professor Robinson,
Right.
and also there's a lot of Professor Bhuminathan, and a lot of
More like a consulting.
no, they advise us. They advise us on projects
Right.
when we need some guidance. I mean, for me, the huge thing has been getting good engineers. Join
Source
from
of resources.
source of. That is the first one. The second one is, of course, collaborative research, consulting. It is this kind of it's a very nice relationship, even for the professors to work for a company and look at real life problems, big projects.
It enhances their own.
Yeah. It's mutually beneficial, and I think, and
So the other pretty interesting thing in the past few years that intellectual property has become a very important area for many faculty.
Yeah.
And they believe that their intellectual property, what they generate in the labs, need to get the file and then they should get a patent.
Yeah.
That's become pretty active in the past 5-6 years or so.
Yeah.
So much so that we're talking about 100 to 150 patents every year
Oh, really?
coming in across the departments.
Yeah.
And some of them are really good. And, I get a chance to be part of this invention declaration meetings.
Okay.
And there I have an opportunity to listen to areas ranging from civil to biotech to electronics. Many of them I don't understand, but I think we could get a pulse of how the quality of research is really improved.
Yeah.
And great amount of application orientation has come to picture.
That's what I feel is actually quite a big shift from our days. I think in our days it was, I got the sense, I don't know about the research field because I wasn't involved, I was an undergrad, but the focus seemed to be more on high quality undergraduate education.
Correct.
But now in addition, it seems that research, applied research and
It's got a big shift towards in the past decade or so.
Yeah.
The number of PhDs that come into IIT every year, there is touching almost close to about 450 to 500 per year or so.
Per year.
Typically a PhD takes about 4 years to complete. You talk about 2,000 PhDs any point in time in the campus, which is very close to your BTech
That's
numbers
huge.
really.
That's huge. That's huge.
And
That is very huge.
as the PhDs come inside, so is the paper publication, conference participation, etc. So slowly shifting towards from pure undergrad to a research-based institution. Really.
Yeah. No, I think But what I enjoyed more, even though I was doing a lot of research during my PhDs, I enjoyed more the physical, actual construction of infrastructure, buildings, highways, dams, and all that. So even there's opportunity to to interact with professors from IITs. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's really good.
So, who was your professor? You will say that he has been a role model guide for you in IIT in civil.
Civil, yeah, I don't know, but I would say it's my dad.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there were many other
Safe, apolitical answer.
No, I think there are many other professors
Uh,
in geotechnical. Of course, there were many other good professors in geotechnical, but I would say there are many. I don't want to miss any, but I would say three names which are big for me are Professor L. N. Ramurthy in steel structures,
right.
Professor P. S. Rao in structures,
Right.
and then Professor P. K. Arvindan.
Great.
Those are three names which are
Deeply etched into your memory.
yeah, yeah. Then there's Professor R. Radhakrishnan, Professor Nagaraj, and there were many brilliant professors. I don't want to miss any names, but we were very, very fortunate.
Great. Yeah. In fact, recently we had launched chairs in the name of Professor P.K. Arvindan and Professor P.S. Rao.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's very nice to see that
Yeah.
great professor getting honored by
Chair professorships and all that. Yeah.
And they are quite graceful to leave the name.
Yeah.
Very nice function. And it's
Yeah.
had a chance to listen to your father.
Yeah.
And he did speak.
Recently there was 2 or 3
launch
chair
program took
professors.
place recently.
Professor Arvindan and Professor P.S. Rao, I believe.
So P.S. Rao was also there in the call.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
It looked like that he was senior to your father. And,
Yeah. Absolutely.
So how's your travel these days? Now we'll start getting back to old days.
Yeah, I was doing an exceptional amount of traveling before pre-COVID. So until around early 2020, I was literally traveling because I have a global role based out of London. So I oversee technically and operations in the US and Europe and Asia and Australia. So it was constant flying. But everything stopped dead in March.
Break, right? Welcome break.
In March. Yeah, that actually changed lifestyle. We learned how to oh, this is beautiful, man. It's amazing. It's not even afraid.
They're not. They're quite
So,
cool.
So everything stopped dead.
Right.
So I think for the next 1 year or so, I just didn't fly at all.
Right.
But now, I would say this is my first trip to India after March 2020. So almost 18, 20 months, no travel.
Right.
But now with the vaccination and, hopefully the case load is low. I'm traveling a lot. I was in Hyderabad, now I'm in Chennai. Then I hope to be in the US in October and November.
Right.
And in between, I also go to Germany. So basically back to...
Slowly catching up.
Slowly catching up. But broadly, the estimation is that the amount of international travel will be 50%
of the peak
what it used to be, before COVID. So feels like for me a good balance between traveling excessively or unnecessarily.
Completely coming to dead stop. And
coming to dead stop, now you go back to 50%. I think is probably the right balance.
I think in the meanwhile you also had some experiments by traveling in a channel, across the channel, going to Germany.
That was... I love to travel, I love to drive.
So the peak of this pandemic, you did try that trip, right?
Yeah, I did. And I think one trip I actually had to, of course, go to Germany and quarantine in a hotel, can't step out of your room.
Right.
So that was not fun. But I like to cross the channel between the UK and Germany and France. So sometimes I go by ferry and then sometimes I go by the tunnel.
Right.
Because the tunnel itself is an amazing civil engineering structure. So the channel travel is... Then I write a little bit about that travel and the construction of it, and share some general fundas.
Right. But it's quite amazing that you enjoyed the travel. I mean, sometimes I used to wonder, it's far too hectic and tough for the physical system to take so much of crisscrossing across the globe.
Yeah, of course it is, jet lag and all that stuff, but just the The opportunity to meet people, is I felt worth.
Probably you built up a good technique of managing these long journeys, right?
Yes. It's it's not a problem nowadays, but yeah, I do miss it. I mean, if but for the loosening of restrictions, I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
And I think still that personal face-to-face conversation, cannot be replaced with
different
Zoom.
dimension of
Yeah,
it, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
I think thanks to the Hyderabad get-together happened.
Yeah, we had a get together. People came not only from Hyderabad but also from Nagpur.
Somebody used to
and
galvanize. I
Bangalore.
think you do the job of galvanizing pretty well.
But I enjoy that. Yeah. That's
I think all of us are here, but we don't have an occasion to catch up. No? We look forward to guys coming from you outside.
yeah. When somebody comes from outside, the local people
as a
meet
hook
up.
or some reason for us to get together and catch up really. This will be quite frequent, but of late has come down thanks to this. Hopefully this will be the starting point for us to go back to the old get-togethers, drop of a hat really. You need to have a reason.
Yes, our next 5-year reunion will be 2025.
24 technically.
24, 89.
Correct.
Yeah, so 24.
Correct.
But I guess we'll do some mini reunions before
I
that.
think now all of us are reaching a stage of time in life, no, where we can afford to have a little extra time for all this, which we could really find, peak of our careers.
Absolutely. No, I think it's nice. It's nice.
Many batches start doing that every year.
Oh, is it? They have a reunion every year, is it?
More like a mini reunion. They get about 30, 40, 50 people. Number goes up really
Yeah.
because the affordability of time.
For the main 5-year one, we have people coming in from the US so that they can't.
Correct.
Takes a lot of planning and advance notice and all.
Now some batches have started doing the reverse way. People in US organize in India. People go
Oh,
and
people
join.
are going, oh, we should do one of those.
Yeah. So for a change.
Go to the US or come to Europe.
Absolutely. Look forward to. Hopefully, we should do something in your place before you moved to London. From
Actually, I invited guys. Let's go to Scotland. But then actually COVID hit. COVID hit, and then so everything was killed. Yeah.
I guess that the next 1 or 2 years could be a good time for us to get back to
Catch up.
travel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. We'll catch up
Good.
then.
Good. Thanks, Subra. I appreciate that. Yeah.